guys, welcome back. If you're new here, I am Chelsea and I am a mama to, well, 5 plus 1 in my belly, which I count, so I say 6. Some people think that's weird. They don't count till the baby gets here, but it's there. I'm the mama to it. That's all there is. All there is to that. So anyway, Chelsea, I'm a mom to almost 6. And yeah, on this channel I share homeschool videos and cooking videos and grocery haul videos and day in the life videos and all that stuff. If that interests you, definitely subscribe. Today's video, you might recognize the background if you watched my last video about COPPA. But while I have the time, I'm just gonna get it done. So yay, behind the scenes info. Today's vlog is going to be another birth story. Yay. So I shared a few months ago now Aria's birth story, and I had told y'all the next week I would do another one. Didn't happen. So today I'm going to share Violet's birth story. So out of my 5 births, she was my 4th and my most complicated. Yeah, it was a fun one. So little Miss Violet. Little Miss Violet was a baby fever uh-oh baby. That's what you want to say. It happens when you have baby fever, and then what happens? Oh, you have a baby. But was not planned. But I feel like sometimes you have baby fever and you just kind of like open up your heart to it, and then you get a baby. I don't know. That's what happened with Miss Violet anyway. So let's see. I found out I was pregnant with her when my son Liam, let's see, was like 2-ish. He turned 3 when she was 3 weeks old. So her pregnancy was just kind of a normal pregnancy. I threw up the most until now. This pregnancy has been a complete game changer. Until this pregnancy, she was my most sick. I threw up the most with her. I'm not a huge vomiter. I'm not. I just feel real nauseous. But I try to keep it in. I don't let it come out. With her, as with this one, I could not hold it back. And I was tired, but not that bad, just a little bit. My belly was it was different shaped than my other ones, which is funny because she's my tiniest. It was very, very long. I usually kind of get like a real good basketball shape going on, and I remember hers was just real long. It was hard to find clothes. I didn't gain a lot of weight. It was mostly all belly, but it was just a real long belly, long and skinny, long skinny belly. I had a couple of, let's see, I fell once down a set of stairs with Violet, just a few steps, and everything was okay, but that was scary. But pregnancy wise, I can't remember anything too interesting happening. But then let's see. So yeah, pregnancy, nothing too interesting happening. Belly was big. I fell once, everything was okay. I remember being a little more whiny towards the end, which is funny because I only made it to 35 weeks, but a little more whiny. I think the belly was just so long, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't bend down and do anything. So I was a little whiny. But overall, I was feeling pretty good at the end, other than the whininess. Heartburn was horrible. Horrible. Spent many nights sleeping, sitting up on the couch. And then one day, 35 weeks, I remember me and the kids, we did a real quick library run, and then we did some school. We just had 3 other ones at the time. We did some school, and then I remember I just felt really tired, kind of just and I wanted to take a nap. So I gather all the kids around me, I turn on a movie, and I'm just, you know, gonna doze for a minute. And this would have been on January 6th, 2014. And when I wake up, I felt really disoriented. I just groggy and like confused. And it was just the oddest feeling. I've never felt that way before. My head was hurting, just disoriented, I mean, really. So I get up to go to the bathroom, and I remember just kind of struggling to get to the bathroom. My vision was just horrible, and I just felt confused. And Aaron was on his way home, and I called him. I knew he was about to be home, and I was just telling him, something is wrong, I don't know. And he had said, well, why don't you take your blood pressure? Because I had had hypertension a little bit the pregnancy before, but not too bad. And just at the very end, like basically during labor. I didn't need meds for it or anything. So I was like, okay, I guess, you know, I shouldn't feel good. So just whatever someone said I was doing. He, I think, got home while I was taking it. It didn't take him very long. I was taking my blood pressure, and oh my goodness, y'all, it was like, what was it? It was like 185 over like 90 something. I'm pretty sure. So it was like 185 over 90. I don't remember, 94, maybe 90 something. I have it written down somewhere. And I thought, yeah, that's not good. So I told him, he was getting in the door anyway, told him, I texted my mom and I called the doctor. And of course they're like, is your blood pressure machine broken? And I'm like, no, I got it new for this pregnancy because I would check it at home sometimes because I had hypertension before. And it was always perfect. It was always perfect at the doctor's office. It was always perfect at home. It was fine. And I said, no. And they said, well, take it again. I took it again and it was like the same. So Aaron gets home, getting the kids ready, getting in the car, we're getting all the baby stuff in the car, and I took it again and it was again 190 something, and this time the bottom number was 100. And so my mom had actually just gotten back from the city where the hospital I was going to. It's about 30-40 minutes away. She had just gotten back to town, and I'm like, yeah, no, we're leaving. So I think she picks up my grandma and they head that way too. And we get to the like triage for labor and delivery, if I can think right. And we get there and the hospital staff gave me a very hard time about letting my children back into the triage area, which I thought was weird. They're like, they can't come back here. And I'm like, I can barely think. My blood pressure is high. I'm not coming back here alone. My husband's coming with me. My mom and grandma will be here within, 15 minutes. Just let them come back. They finally did, but they were very rude about it and it made me very upset. So they came in, they took my blood pressure. It was still sky high, the same. So they gave me an IV with some blood pressure medicine in it, and they checked me. I was not having contractions. I was not in labor. I was only 1 centimeter dilated, but I guess for 35 weeks, it's not too bad. I don't know. I had never, gone into the hospital for labor, not being in labor and only at a 1. Before, when I get there, I'm always a 3. So my midwife came in and she was just like, this is not good. We need to take you back. We need to get labor started. And I have all natural labor, so I did not want an epidural. They had told me they would let me without one, but it just depends on my blood pressure. If they feel like, they can't get it under control, they might need to give me one. Because with pain, your blood pressure goes high. They had told me they would let me try for a little bit again with medication. They might need to do a C-section. And that just makes you more terrified. I'm terrified of epidurals. I don't want a big needle in my back, and I really don't want a C-section. Props to you mamas who have had a C-section. That doesn't sound fun to recover from at all. So they get me started. Hope there's no guys watching. I would think a birth story, it would be only girls. I know they used a balloon. Don't know the technical term for it because I've never had it before, but that goes into your cervix. And I had to get a catheter. And when I have labors, I do them naturally. I walk around, I move around, I get in the water, I sit on the ball, I just go in all kinds of positions. And for this labor, I had my catheter, I had my balloon, I had leg pumps on my legs to keep my blood from clotting. I was hooked up to magnesium, and I was hooked up to, I don't know what kind of blood pressure medication. I was still feeling funky from my blood pressure being that incredibly high. And then the magnesium made me feel like I had a cold or the flu. My face got ginormous, first of all, from the high blood pressure. I don't know if I can get any pictures onto here. If I can, I will. They're kind of embarrassed. I mean, my face got huge. And then the magnesium made my nose stuff up. So my face is huge, my nose is stuffed up. And I do breathing techniques during labor to help. And I could not, because I couldn't use my nose. So my mouth ended up getting really dry. My headache was one of the worst headaches I've ever had. I don't know if it was from the blood pressure. I don't know if it's from the magnesium. I don't know what it was from. So I had asked for like a Tylenol, like a big Tylenol, and I don't do anything pain pill wise during labor. even Tylenol, which I know just sounds silly, but I just don't. So what's a Tylenol gonna do during labor? Nothing. But I thought for my head, it'd be worth it. Well, I hadn't eaten, so of course then the Tylenol makes me sick, so then I'm also throwing up, and I can't get out of bed, and my head is pounding so intensely, but I can't keep the medicine down. It's pounding so intensely, I can't open my eyes, so I have like rags on my face, and I also use like visualization, during labor to help. Like I will pick something to focus on during a contraction, and I just kind of pick that thing apart with my mind is what I do. I just zone in. I'm looking at a picture while I'm talking. I just zone into that thing, and I'll think about each little object on that thing while I'm breathing to distract myself. Well, I legit can't open my eyes. It hurts, and I get migraines, so I understand headache pain and eye pain and all that, and oh, I hope I never have another headache like that in my life. And then while all this is happening, my kids, by the way, are not there. My grandma took them home. I didn't want them to see me like that. It was evening time when we got there. We knew we were going to be there all night, so she just took them home. And I'm glad that they weren't there. It was not fun to see. My blood pressure it would never go all the way down to a normal level, and then it would keep spiking way up into the 200s over, you know, it was 200 over like 105 at one point, 200 and something. And I'm surprised almost they let it get that high, but they did. And I started having like little convulsion type things, not a seizure. I don't really know what it was. They even said they didn't know what it was, but my shoulder just kept kind of like arching back, and I could not make it happen. Like it was just happening, and it scared me very badly. My mom used to have a seizure condition. Well, she still does, but it's managed right now. And so seeing that feeling myself do that freaked me out very badly, and it scared my mom really badly. I remember my midwife telling my mom, like, I have never seen you, my mom, lose it. Like, I've never seen you not feel like you're in control, or never seen you feel like, you know, this wasn't okay. So they couldn't really get it to go down and stay down, and I was just basically horribly in pain. So they had given me until, I think it was 7 o'clock, or they were gonna do a C-section. And about 6, I had said, you know what, I'm done, give me an epidural. I don't want to do this anymore. I cannot do this anymore. I don't know, I don't remember exactly what time my labor started because it was just so, but I think it was around 8-ish in the evening. So, you know, we're getting on to 12 hours almost, about 10 hours, and my midwife came in and she's like, okay, that's fine. I told the guy that you want, my midwife is the calmest, or she's not my midwife now, she quit, but calmest lady. She's like, he's coming. He's in the room next to you. He's got one more to do and he will be here. And of course, and I've never asked for one even before, but when you do ask for an epidural, you're like, yeah, no, I don't care. He needs to come right here, right now. I decided I'm done, I'm done. And I was crying over this because I felt so guilty, which is ridiculous. I don't know why I felt guilty, but I felt like I had failed myself and failed my baby, and it was just awful. So I'm crying and I can't see and I can't breathe, and my blood pressure just keeps, the machines keep, because it won't go down. And so while my midwife's talking, she's like, I'm just gonna check you. And she's like, okay, you're an 8. No, you're a 9. Okay, we're a 10, let's go. And I'm like, what? And I do this. I can go from like, once they check me at a 4, within a few hours, sometimes I'm just like, done, that's it. You don't have to check me again, we're there, we're good. But yeah, with hers, it had been going so slow up to that point because I wasn't in any kind of labor by myself. It was all Pitocin, so it was pretty slow going. And I think because I couldn't stand up and move around, there was no gravity to help the situation. And my body was stressed, so my body didn't want to relax and open up, but apparently it did. When she was down there, and I'm sure she assisted, you know, they can stretch you a little bit. And I think that one, she knew I didn't want the epidural, and she knew that I didn't want to have a C-section, and so she just probably kind of stretched me a little bit. I was in so much pain, I wouldn't know what she was doing down there anyway, but I was so relieved, so relieved. So she said, okay, let's just push this baby out. They gave me an extra shot of the blood pressure medicine that had been in my IV for the pushing period, because it just kept, like I said, going up. And then during the pushing, I remember they had to rush over and do it again. So I got a lot of medicine. I don't ever feel like it till I talk about it out loud, and I'm like, wow, you don't even realize how much medicine and stuff you had. And what's funny is Violet was a teeny tiny baby. She was 5 pounds, 10 ounces. And I don't know if it's because I had to lay flat, like 100% flat on my back to have her or what, but she felt bigger than that. She was hard to push out, which is just so funny. I didn't push a lot. I mean, I probably pushed 3 or 4 times, but she felt bigger. And it was just my midwives and a bunch of nurses doing a bunch of things. My husband and my mom, which is very different. I normally have other family members in there and kids in there. And it was just us, and she was born and she was 100% perfectly fine. They put that little tiny, my little goose, I called her because she made the cutest little goose noise on me, and I could tell at that point, I thought, okay, this is a smaller baby, but I was thinking six-ish pounds. And I was also just still very confused, kind of. And I just held her while they, you know, cleaned me up and stuff. And yeah, she was perfectly, she didn't need any oxygen. She didn't need anything. She was fine. Now me, on the other hand, I was still having, my blood pressure still wouldn't go down. So yeah, that was fun. But yeah, when they weighed her and they said 5'10" and 18 inches, I was like, are you kidding me? That's a tiny, I mean, so, oh my God. She was like a doll. She was the tiniest thing. I remember she had to get preemie diapers, and even those would like slide off. She just had like no meat on her whatsoever. She was the cutest thing. And so she stayed on me for a little bit, skin to skin, before they took her. They give you like an hour or so, and they don't take her out of the room. They just weigh her and measure her right there in the room. And then they gave her back to me, and I remember I could not sleep for the longest time. And Aaron's sitting next to me asleep and snoring. My mom's on the couch across from me asleep and snoring. And I'm holding little bitty, like, I mean, she just like took up this much space by the time she curled up in her little bitty tush. So cute. Yeah, and I just sat there with her, and I just could not sleep. I did not sleep, I don't think. I didn't go to sleep that day, or that whole day. And then when night came, I had trouble sleeping. So I went, like almost 2 days, did not sleep. So Violet was perfectly fine. Now, because she was 35 weeks, they had a whole bunch of doctors come in. What I liked about my hospital was they always came in. They never took her away. A lot of doctors came in and just did a whole bunch of different tests that I had never had done with my other babies, just kind of checking on her age, checking on her lungs, checking on just all kinds of things. They even did this where they move her body all around to make sure that they think she was 35 weeks. She barely passed her weight to go home because she was 5'10", and she dropped down, I think, to 5'4", and you have to be over 5, you know, to go home. So barely passed that, thank goodness. They had to do a car seat test on her, where they just check the oxygen levels while they're sitting in a car seat for the amount of time it takes you to get home. It takes us about 30 to 45 minutes to get home, or well, really 30 to 40, but I think her test was 45 minutes. So they put her in our car seat, just hooked a little oxygen thing up to her toe, and just watched to see if her oxygen dropped at all. If it did, you can't go home. Luckily, hers never dropped. She did perfectly fine. And she was ready to go home before I was. So I was on those leg pumps with blood pressure medicine for the rest of the day she was born and all of the next day. And then I had one spike in there, but I was having company, and I think it was just my introvert self getting excited about company. Maybe, I don't know. And they sent me home, barely, but they just sent me home. And when Violet was, how old was Violet? I think I was going back, and they wanted to see me in a week is what it was. I didn't relive this before I started talking, so I'm thinking they wanted to see me back in a week. I went back in a week. My blood pressure was very high. I got admitted. My mom stayed with me, and Violet, we only had to stay one night. They just wanted to watch my blood pressure throughout the night and see if this is a random spiking thing or if it's still high. It stayed high. It was probably high the whole time I was home, which might explain why I was feeling so I just thought, wow, this is a tough recovery. I think it was my blood pressure being so high. So we stayed the night. They ended up in the middle of the night putting me on, or giving me, it was oral I think, blood pressure medication. They were like, this hasn't gone down, you know, in so many hours since you've been here. Just take this, let's see if this works for you. And it did. So they sent me home with that prescription, and I took it for 6 weeks. And at 6 weeks we quit. And then when I went back, and I took it at home during this period, even while I was on it, she said at 6 weeks stop, and then they see you again at like 12 weeks. She said stop at 6 weeks, check it, you know, yourself at home. And then I did have to go back at 8 weeks is what it was. I did not see my midwife. I just went and had to have them take my blood pressure to make sure, you know, my machine's working, and it was fine. And it was still fine at 12 weeks when I saw my midwife again. So it just took a long time to go back down, and I'm not sure why. Like I said, I've had hypertension a little bit with another baby, but I had never had the preeclampsia. I've never had any of that. And when I went to my 12-week one, they said that they had tested my placenta and it was deteriorating. It was already dying, and it was very similar to placentas that have had preeclampsia for many, many months. They're not sure why, because when I went to all my visits and the random times I took it at home, it was fine. So all they can guess is in between times it was spiking, maybe for days at a time, and I just didn't know. So it makes me feel bad. Yeah, but I mean, there's nothing I didn't know. I didn't know it was dying and deteriorating. I'm glad that when I felt funny that day, I took my blood pressure, or who knows, because it was in the evening and I would have been going to bed, and you just don't know. You don't know what would happen if, you know, you wouldn't have followed your gut, or in this instance followed Aaron's gut and taken that blood pressure. If I would have went to bed that night and had my blood pressure keep spiking, I could have had a seizure, I could have had a stroke, baby could have not made it. And that was why after we had Violet, when she was just 2 months old, Aaron did have a vasectomy, which obviously did not work. We're on our second child after that vasectomy, but they had told me, you know, don't do this. Once you had hypertension with number 3, you had preeclampsia with number 4, your body's obviously going that direction, don't do this again. But with Aria, I was perfectly fine. Now I exercised, ate well, watched my blood pressure strongly. So I don't know. With this baby so far, I take my blood pressure every day. It's been fine. I guess we will see. You can be praying for me, because that was a very scary experience. I had a little bit of PTSD going into labor with Aria. I had to do a whole lot of prayer. So did my husband, and so did my mom. We were all just very, very scared, because it was very serious with Violet, and it was very scary for all of us. I think we all had a little bit of PTSD, and we all had to spend a lot of time in prayer, and I do think God had favor on me and answered my prayer. If you haven't seen Aria's birth video, I will link it in the description box, but he gave me the very best labor and delivery you could ever ask for. I don't know why my camera's blinking at me. Anyway, with Aria, gave me the best one with Aria. We're gonna do a lot of prayer with this one and hope it's just the same. What else was I going to tell you guys? This video is probably getting too long, so we'll wrap it up. My recovery with Violet was decent. It was about like my other ones. I did have my grandpa on my mom's side, who was very close to. He passed away when Violet was 3 weeks old on Liam's 3rd birthday. So that was very difficult. I did have some postpartum depression with Violet. I think it was how traumatic, I'm pregnant and emotional, I hope I don't cry. I think it was how traumatic her birth was, accompanied with my grandpa passing. So that was a very hard time. Thankfully I have, you know, supportive family and friends, and I just had to do a whole lot of praying and make sure I did some self-care to get myself through it. I have had postpartum depression one other time, and it's not fun either. Was not fun either time. It is a serious thing that I feel like a lot of people have trouble talking about. I think it makes you feel weak, or it makes you think that people will think less highly of you maybe. But I will say, if you're having postpartum depression, please find someone and tell them. Just, even if it's just one person, and just tell them everything. Tell them exactly how you're feeling and exactly what you're thinking. It is not good to keep that inside. Again, it's just pregnancy hormones, y'all. I'm not upset. But but get it out and tell somebody. You need to find someone you can trust, whether that's someone related to you or a friend, or if you need to go and find a counselor or a therapist, there is no shame in that. But for yourself and for your children, you really need to go and get those things out. It could be your pastor even, just someone who you can open up and tell those things to, and it will feel scary because you feel a little, I don't know, off balance, and you don't want anyone to know maybe the thoughts that you have in your head, or how you're feeling about yourself, or life, but it's important. So please, even if maybe you're about to have a baby, or you just did, and if you want to reach out to me, I have my email in the description box. You can reach out to me. I will be happy to talk with you about it and help you as best I can get through it. But please open up to somebody and get those feelings out, and remember to take care of yourself and know that you are doing the very best job you can do by talking to someone, taking care of yourself. So that does not make you a weak mama, makes you a strong mama. Anywho, that is Violet's pregnancy, birth, and postpartum story. It was kind of a long one, but it was a very complicated ordeal. So there you go. I'm hoping to share the rest of my birth stories before too long, and then before we know it, y'all, it'll be time to share new baby's birth story. So I can't wait to share that one because I don't know how it goes yet. It'll be exciting. Anyway, I'll let you guys go. I talked to you long enough. Down in the comments, I'd love to hear any birth stories you have that you haven't told me yet, or we can relive them again if you've already told me, anything like that. So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye, y'all.